Hey there, thank you. Welcome to the Film Fan Club show. I'm Sam Carrico. Guys, guess what finally came out? Yeah, I know. The new remake of West Side Story. Just kidding. Spider-Man No Way Home brought in a pandemic record-breaking $253 million at the box office its opening weekend. I can personally attest to this. I saw it Thursday night, opening night, and the theater was packed. Man, I hadn't seen that many spiders in one room since my first apartment. I don't want to reveal too much, guys, but yeah, Zendaya is in this movie. I mean, that's more than Dune can say. We'll talk spoilers in a second, but I'd like to give my initial thoughts first. To cut right to the chase, this is my favorite comic book movie of the year. The scope of this plot and the payoff is great. Tom Holland really makes the role his own this time, and his chemistry with Zendaya is on point. It's great to see the classic villains back as well, and it looks like the actors playing them are just having a ball doing so. I was worried that the multiverse elements of the story would distract from delivering a satisfying conclusion to this MCU Spider-Man trilogy, but director John Watts and the writers are able to jug all of these elements perfectly. I don't think I've seen a movie theater audience cheer at the screen this much in a while. If you're looking for airtight logic though, this film does leave a little bit to be desired. There are some plot points that had me scratching my head, and some problems are solved a little too easily just to keep things moving along, but I see this film as more of a party or a celebration rather than something deep like The Dark Knight or Logan. This was clearly made for the fans, and while that's great for someone like me, it could leave some casual viewers confused. There were a couple times where my brother Gavin turned to me and asked, "Why are we clapping?" But given the box office response to this movie though, I think it's safe to say that most of us are on the same page. This movie is full of surprises, reveals on the same level as Luke, I Am Your Father, so if you haven't seen it yet, it's really best to go before it gets spoiled for you. If you're a superhero fan, I cannot recommend Spider-Man No Way Home enough. Okay, we've got a great show for you lined up. Let's get straight to our spoiler review. Okay, let's meet our panel. Joining me now live, thank you all for joining us. And to join me on this panel today, we got first Classic Modern Films, Clay Fisher, returning to us after our No Time to Die video back in October. Welcome, Clay. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great.
And Peyton, fan favorite, actor Peyton Grufik, based in Los Angeles,
Such
California.
high demand to come back, I know.
You started the season with us, and it's fair that you end 2021 with us again. So,
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure to have you guys both on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, so you guys saw that my initial thoughts. I really like Spider-Man No Way Home, but let's go back to you guys. Before we'll kind of go scene by scene here in a second, but Clay, you saw this movie.
Yeah.
Whenever you're walking out of the theater, what was running through your head?
I gotta go see it twice. I gotta go see it again. That's what I did, and that's what I did.
Yeah,
I went to see it again. Yeah, because this is a movie you can't say that it is good without pretty much spoiling it. Just by saying that it is good, you're pretty much telling them what they were looking forward to. So you can just tell them life found a way. That's the only way you can describe this movie. Life found a way to match what was the impossible to possibilities.
This had such high expectations going in. And Peyton, you and I have been talking about this movie for a while now. I think we did at least 2 separate live streams where we kind of like No Way Home was kind of one of the big topics of conversation. So, I just got to ask, did this live up to your expectations, Peyton?
It surpassed my expectations, and I didn't even think it was possible. Because I've been following this movie for a long time, and even some of the things they've tried to keep on the down low that we'll get into later, people who were staying really close to the movie, they were able to figure out some of the things that they were wanting to hide and everything. And I thought I knew everything that was going to happen in the film, and I was shocked to see things happen that I didn't even know were going to happen.
That's the thing. Yeah, I feel like you and I mean, we all kind of have been following this pretty closely. So I was like, okay, this will be a spoiler review. This section of the video, for those watching now, this section of the video will be a spoiler review. So, we had a lot of anticipation about who might show up, and I wanted to see it happen, but just I kind of will get into this later, but the way they were able to contextualize the big reveals, it wasn't just fan service for the sake of fan service. I thought it was
it was really something special. Again, it like reveals on the level of Luke, I am your father. I don't think that's an overstatement. It's, and a lot of people have pointed out, but this is a really respectful movie to those that had come before it, which is really refreshing to see. Whereas I think that nowadays it's really fun to just kind of like subvert expectations. This movie was able to kind of, you know, give the fans what they want, but they kind of give it to them in a way that was also a really satisfying story. So let's kind of like unpack this thing a little bit. You know, it starts off, I enjoy a movie where it starts off right after the last one ends, and that's what this one does. Right in the post-credit scene of Far From Home, his identity is revealed by J. Jonah Jameson, who is really fun in this. And Peter's now stuck like with being the most famous person in the world. He has to tell it to MJ. Like, as we kind of start with where the world is at the beginning of this movie, Clay, what did you kind of think about how he's dealing with this, you know, the fallout from the previous film at the beginning?
Well, I thought the opening was very quick. It was very rapid. The editing was so quick, showing, okay, everybody is going up against him. He has fans. He has people that hate him. So there's half and half who support him. And then there are the people who think he's a murderer. And you see this heavy burden that he's carrying now. It's like the celebrity burdenness, I guess. And since pretty much his whole life has been ruined and his friends' lives have been ruined, I pretty much thought it was okay. It was a good way to take drastic methods with Doctor Strange. So those few minutes, the first 20 minutes of him with MJ, I wasn't there hoping for the villains and the other actors to come out. You know, I was still sucked in to the drama of what the Peter Parker, the Tom Holland character, was going through. Because that is something we have to give credit to Tom Holland, is that he is a very good actor, that he doesn't make you want to just look at the clock and wait for the following actor to show up. Like you get so focused into what he's going with or the issues that this character is having that you forget about the other characters.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was kind of at this first section of the film, you know, before I knew they were going to get into a lot of the big reveals. I was kind of going into the theater. I was like, all right, we'll just get through this part until we get to the fun stuff. And they were able to kind of, there was enough meat there to the story. You mentioned how he's kind of a celebrity now. And I liked how they were able to kind of ride that line between, they show it in school. Like, there are some people who really adore Spider-Man now, and there are a lot of people who really hate Spider-Man now. Peyton, how did you kind of take to this new changing dynamic for our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
Oh, you were just making me think of a point where it's so funny, where two teachers are super supportive as he's coming into school, and then the coach is like, I hate you. I'm with Mysterio.
Yeah.
It's just because that's how it would be. I honestly wish we could have seen a little more of it in the school environment and everything. Like, we know just from like everything it's telling us, like, yeah, some people hate Spider-Man, some people like Spider-Man. We got a few interactions he has with people along the way, and then the whole MIT situation is why he goes to visit Strange in the first place. And I in my opinion, I think it did go by a little quickly, the whole opening and everything. And it was fun to see that he's visiting Strange. Not really for any selfish reasons, because in the trailers, we just kind of see him. He just wants everybody to forget. And he's doing it because of his friends.
I think that's a really important distinction.
It is. It really is. And yeah, I mean, it's always good to get to the fun part. And they know that's why a lot of people came, and they're like, okay, let's get through all of the exposition we need to get through so that they can see all of their favorite villains.
Right.
But I get why they did it. But me personally, maybe a little more interaction with this new world he has to interact with.
And you kind of brought up something that I was feeling a little bit like contentious about going into the film, and I still don't know quite where I settle with it. So it'll be interesting to see how it hits you guys now that you both have seen the movie. But like I think it helps that he's doing it for his friends. But the idea that Peter is kind of being dumb in this movie by talking during Doctor Strange's spell, taking something that's very serious and not treating it very seriously. And then another issue that I hadn't even considered until it was brought up in the film, where this was his first course of action, apparently, after he failed to actually get into MIT. So I don't know. Peyton and I, we kind of discussed this a little bit, but Clay, I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you think it kind of takes away from Peter? Do you think it to make him make stupid decisions?
I mean, they pretty much made him seem like a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
kids make stupid decisions. They make dumb decisions, and so it would make sense that he would be botching or ruining somebody's spell or not thinking through and go talk to the MIT president or whoever is in lead of that. I mean, he's been like that since Civil War, who makes dumb comments, dumb decisions. Sometimes even the comedy was getting too much. Like sometimes it was overbearing, in my opinion, especially with his friend. But you would always, but at the end of the day, it made sense why he would always mess up, because he's a kid. He's a kid who was dragged into this big world of superheroes, who was much more overwhelmed by it than to get into the mission.
Yeah, that's a good point, and it is kind of part of his arc. That he's a kid at the beginning of this film. He's still learning, and by the end of it, he's become independent and learned these lessons. But also, Peyton, throw it to you. Is it on the flip side? Is it Peter's fault for botching the spell, or is it Doctor Strange's fault for not explaining the spell beforehand?
I mean, as soon as Doctor Strange, I mean, people can take both sides in this. The whole situation is very righty. Like, I feel like nobody would actually talk like that in real life or anything. As soon as Strange would be like, "Hey, you gotta shut the fuck up," okay? or the spell's gonna go back. I just feel like anybody would be like, "Okay," but we need the movie to happen,
right?
So we keep making Peter do all this. But I don't think MJ should forget and everything. And so that is one part of the movie where I feel like they kind of, that whole opening, and they've done it in the past movies before. Yes, he is a kid, but he's constantly making just some really dumb decisions that I can't really go like, oh, he's a kid. Kids would botch a magical spell and keep just, I don't know.
Like you said, they need to make the movie happen, but I was worried it was at the expense of our characters.
I mean, I can't relate to a kid who has ever botched a magic spell. I've never seen that. I haven't seen that yet.
Who hasn't botched a magic spell when they were in high school?
That's
honestly,
what I'm saying.
Ron Weasley.
Exactly. Yeah. But then that kind of, I think that leads us to, is that when he goes? So then he does go to. We're kind of probably skipping around, but I think the next big thing after that is he goes to meet the MIT president, and okay, Daredevil. I guess I skipped right over Daredevil. There is Daredevil. Oh, yeah. My brother, which again doesn't really amount to much. I guess he's used to explain away the legal ramifications of what happened in the previous movie. It's like the movie's way of saying, like, Peter's not going to go to jail. We're going to move on. Like, people know his identity, but legally he's kind of okay. Mm-hmm. What did you guys? Clay, what did you make of Daredevil, and did this kind of swat away the problems from the previous movie a little bit too easily?
I mean, all I got from there is Daredevil is in it.
Yeah.
The Marvel Universe. That's all I got. I think nobody was listening too much to the
dialogue.
The dialogue. They were just paying attention to that. Matt Murdock, the actor from the Netflix Daredevil show, is there, and who knows? I'm curious what they're gonna do with him in these following Marvel movies. Like,
you wouldn't think that they would bring back Matt Murdock and the Kingpin. Spoiler alert for Hawkeye, sorry, but Matt Murdock and the Kingpin are brought back within like the same week. They've got to have like a plan for that, right?
Yeah, I hope they might use them for their big movies, like for Secret Invasion, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but it was just one cameo. It didn't hurt. It was just to show that he's there. I mean, now we all want to see the three Reds: Spidey, Daredevil, and Deadpool.
And that you can do it now with the way that Disney owns all the properties, because Disney's a mega conglomerate.
They own the world.
My brother,
the galaxy.
And soon the galaxy, the Guardians of the. No, my brother looks to me whenever Daredevil comes on screen, and he goes, "Who is that?" Because it's just a guy in a suit to him. But Peyton, what did you make of this?
Oh, Clay nailed it. It's literally just a show. Hey, Daredevil's in the MCU now.
That was That was the first in my theater. That was the first eruption, applause, and cheers.
Okay,
same.
That was the first one for you guys. I guess I'm trying to think if we had before that. I don't know. This was
No,
probably,
this was
again, the most times that we had ever clapped in a theater, I think, at least for me. So I think this might have been the first one. But the next one was shortly after because, like I was talking about earlier, the Doc Ock scene happens. And I thought the Doc Ock scene was pretty great. I wanted to get a pretty good fight out of him because I had a sense that he was going to turn good after a while. So, like, I really liked I mean, they had him say the line, "The power of the sun in the palm of my hand." I was like, wow, they're really just going for it, you know? So that was amazing. His fight scenes were pretty good. I was a little bit worried that there were going to be no puppeteers or anything like that. I was like, damn, I would have loved a little bit of practical effects. But what you can do with the digital effects now, I mean, you were able to give me a pretty badass Dr. Octopus fight scene. So I was pretty happy with that. And then, of course, it ends with, our discovery of the multiverses. The Peter, his nanotech pairs with Doc Ock's, like, really, his nanotech pairs with Doc Ock's tentacles way easier than any time I get a new, like, Bluetooth speaker. It's like it takes all day for me. What did you guys think of this first Doc Ock fight, and then kind of just that whole scene? The pairing, the eventual realization that he's not the right Peter, and then the fight. Clay?
I mean, I was worried at first that the villains would be a whole bunch of jokes. Like in the second trailer, they were making fun of his name, Otto Octavius, and I didn't see what was the point of that. Like, I don't want to laugh at Doc Ock. Like, I want to be in awe that all of these villains are in this one movie. Probably we're gonna see them one last time, so why not enjoy them being awe? I don't want to laugh at them, but
right.
But they were not the punchline the whole time. So they were used pretty decently, and not decently, pretty good actually. But Doc Ock was one of those few that were actually really good. For example, like, I knew he was gonna go back being the good person, because in the Spider-Man 2 movie, he wasn't a bad person. He was just ambitious, and all I was just thinking about the Doc Ock with the nanotech. It was just toys, more toys. Yeah. We gotta sell those red tentacles now. But yeah. I was just a bit worried once he got the nanotech where Spider-Man was just controlling him. I was just worried that from there on he's just gonna be comedy, just make fun of Doc Ock. But no, they gave him enough respect from there on. And after that,
I was just going to say what I liked is, they were able to find that fine line of, like, given the restraining him with the arms, finding a little bit of comedy with that. But when you really unlock, the potential, I think, with that character in this movie is whenever you undo or you give him back his inhibitor chip or whatever, and then he becomes kind of the truly good Octavius that we know. But Peyton, what did you think of the Dr. Octopus scene?
That is one of the main, out of all the villains, he was the villain I was excited to see the most on screen. And I know a lot of people, they might want to see Green Goblin more or something like that. But more of what I was stoked to see Doc Ock come back, because Spider-Man 2 was my childhood, man. The amount of times I would dress up as Spider-Man, put the DVD on in my room, and then, like, skip to the train fight and just act it out on my bed. Like, that movie's ingrained in my brain. And the bridge fight is cool. If you're keeping up with the movie as much as I was, 99% of the trailer material was all from that bridge fight. So we had the whole fight in, like, promotional material.
Yeah,
so, like, not all good.
Not put together, though.
But
not put together, but I watched a fan edit where they were like, here's all of the, like, promotional footage of the bridge fight, and here's the order I think it's going to be in, and they just slapped it all together.
Well, why would you watch that, Peyton?
Because I watched every form of any leak, everything. I was on top of it, just watching it.
That's destroying the experience. But I was talking about the fight. I wasn't expecting it to be that good, because they fight plenty of time, and I was very invested in it. And a while back, I was watching Spider-Man 2 again, and I just noticed how long the tentacles were in this one. Because in the Tobey Maguire one, he wouldn't stretch them as long, but in here, he's like,
I noticed that too.
He's close to falling into the river.
Yeah. Hanging. I noticed that there is also, like, there's times when they seem thinner, I guess, but it's just because it is kind of the draw or the drawback of having CGI rather than a tangible thing. Because if there's a tangible thing, it's never going to change in scale. Whereas if it's CGI, it just depends on how you draw it in that scene. I imagine. I don't know what CGI artists are very talented, and I have no idea what goes into that. But I mean, again, I was very impressed with the Doc Ock scene. I was a little bit worried, like you, Clay, that they were going to make fun of him. I still don't like the Otto Octavius like making fun of his name a little bit, but I didn't get it, but like I think they were able to. I did like having him be evil and have him be restrained, though. I thought that was made for some really funny banter with the rest of the villains. Because I think whenever I'm trying to remember, because he meets Otto Octavius, and he takes him down to where Kurt Connor's. Then we see a brief glimpse of the Green Goblin, which was a little bit of a tease. I thought they were going to fight on the bridge. But then I realized, that's the only shot we've seen of Norman on the bridge. So they go to I guess Strange with Doc Ock, and then Strange already has the lizard. Is that am I right on that,
lizard?
guys?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and that's when Strange kind of explains the multiverse. Clay.
Oh, I just have a question. Did you guys notice that Doc Ock was much more bitter in this one than in the Tobey Maguire one?
He seemed angry all the time.
He was pissed.
Like, you want brownies? No, I don't want brownies.
Yeah, there was he's like talking to Zendaya and Ned in the sanctums, and he in Dr. Octopus is just in the back room, and he's just like, who are they? Like, it's just really funny shit. I love him in this movie, and they're able to like do some again, there's a couple of cringe attempts at comedy, but for the most part, I think the comedy really works. The lizard, I don't think talks at all in this scene. I think that it's just Strange explaining the idea of the multiverse to Peter. But does the multiverse or like the rules? I still have a problem with the rules, I guess, because it's anybody who knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man is brought into this universe, but like, I don't think Electro knew that he was Spider-Man, right? And Venom definitely doesn't know. Well, can we talk about like Venom? Venom is in this movie in the post-credit scene, and he's brought here under the same spell as Doctor Strange, right? The one that they botched. But he has no idea who Peter Parker is in this universe or in his universe.
Reading a thing of like a lot of people are theorizing some kind of like mind hive. The symbiote thing that like all of the symbiotes kind of like share memory throughout all universes and all different whatever. Like,
a coworker brought that up today, and I was like, I whenever I was talking to her then too, I was like, I don't know if I buy that.
It's bull, but it's the best we got right now. I feel like
if the movie doesn't say it, then it's not real. You know,
right?
Is it possible that Doctor Strange got the idea that he just misinterpreted it? You know, like it's possible that there is just so little that we know, and he's just like, okay, Doc Ock knows who Spider-Man is, so does the lizard. That's obviously the connecting issue, you know, and that's it. Is it possible he got it wrong, or is it possible the movie's wrong, which is more likely?
Let's just call it for what it is: inconsistencies. Because when it comes to time travel with Marvel, there are so many inconsistencies, a lot of bull, a lot of rules that they don't even follow, and this is one of those where they don't follow their own rules, where there's a lot of things where one character said this in the other movies, but they didn't.
Yeah. It's like I remember liking an Endgame a lot at first, and then being like, "Wait, this doesn't make sense." That's a little bit of my fear.
That's why I was thinking, you know, with so much the big hype that there is in this movie, that in a few months or once we see it over and over, we're gonna notice more of these inconsistencies and say maybe No Way Out wasn't as good, or it'll still be entertaining. But when it comes to the multiverse, trying to find the logic reasons when there's none of that, you can't. And plus, you're gonna find more inconsistencies than anything, and probably that's gonna hurt most people's views about this movie once they see it over and over again. To me, it's not gonna bother me because I just love seeing all these villains together.
That's what's the real crux of this movie is, I think, is whether like how much of it are you really here for a cohesive plot, and how much are you here for like a Day of the Doctor kind of like anniversary special kind of event film kind of thing. The next big thing that happens is, of course, they go to capture. I don't know if they're looking. I think they go to look for the Green Goblin, and then they just find Electro and Flint Marko, right? And then I mean, they have a pretty good battle there too. I don't understand at all how Jamie Foxx is not blue in this universe. It doesn't make any sense to me. Nobody has a thing.
He says like the energy in this world is different. I like it.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it's terrible. But that's what they're giving us.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Maybe he's a different Jamie Foxx from another universe.
But he remembers Andrew Garfield, right? Or
right.
Maybe this is the harder version of Jamie Foxx.
Yeah. Or does he?
But
no, I don't know.
No, it's just inconsistency, and plus it's Marvel trying to add the traditional Electro costume instead of the newer and improved and updated version of the blue suit, which was pretty.
Oh, you go ahead.
No, because back then it would have been too silly to show the thunder lightning on his face, the yellow lightning that he has.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, exactly. I actually like the suit, how it looks in this, and it's funny because they were so scared to do it at first, and they do it here, and it's like it actually looks kind of badass.
And even though Jamie Foxx is inconsistent from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I mean, I don't mind because he did sound pretty cool. Like it was a very different point of view that we got scientist point of view, and then there's some
he was kind of the everyman, wasn't he?
This was more like a thug point of view version. Like I don't want to do this. What is this?
Yeah, he's like, I just want the power. I don't care about all this other shit. I just want to get as big as I can.
I'm gonna fry you, boy.
That was a pretty good fight. I like the fight. I don't understand why Sandman is immediately there to help. It's just kind of what the movie wants also at the time, I guess.
Why does he turn bad?
Yeah, exactly.
Why does he suddenly why is he like, oh hey, I'm bad now? Because it's just the poor Sandman and Lizard were kind of the bench warmers of the movie.
Yeah,
and didn't get a lot of. It was sad.
I mean, once by the end of the movie, I realized they were not in this movie. They only their voices. They just borrowed their voices.
Yeah, and I think they literally reused footage from.
Did you notice that?
3. Yeah, I saw.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The finger thing or whatever, where he's like holding his hand. It's like
down in the water, like
exactly.
Tunnel. Yeah.
Because I was wondering why was the Sandman covered in sand the whole time? Oh, it's because he really wasn't there.
Well, it made for some good. I did like the scene where he sits down and gets sand like all over the couch, and that was fun. And then we get the good fight. They do fight, good fight. I like how there was a smart way to defeat Max Dillon is Electro, and then I think then that brings us to Norman Osborn, and then so. The two people that I did not expect to have as much screen time as they did are Electro. He had a lot of screen time, I think, for how little of a role I thought he would have. And then Norman Osborn, like I thought he would be Green Goblin. He would be in some fight scenes and maybe some CGI and a couple of scenes with Willem Dafoe. But Willem Dafoe really has a good section of this film here in the middle, and he gets to act a little bit. And that scene where we first meet him in the feast facility, and he looks like a homeless guy, and he's like I'm just trying to go to work one day, and then I realized that Oscorp doesn't exist and my son's not here. It was like really good. Clay, what did you think of Norman's kind of reintroduction?
I loved it. I mean, Peyton, you said you were looking forward to Doc Ock. I was looking forward to the Green Goblin. That was the second.
Hell yeah, bro.
That was the second burst of applause and cheers we got when the bomb was thrown, and with the Green Goblin. We were kind of disappointed once they removed them without. Right. I wanted to see him a little bit more with the mask, but I was surprised how he was like the main villain. Like out of all the 5 villains, like he was the main villain, and
it was so good.
And it was so good. I mean, would you consider that he was much scarier in this because? He doesn't wear the mask anymore.
Yeah, it was such a good decision, I think, to have him not wear the mask. Because Willem Dafoe's just creepy face just does all the work. It was so good.
Yeah, like even I try to make his faces, but then people start bursting in laughter. I'm like, how do you do that? How are you so creepy? And I'm just comic.
He has some tough dialogue too to make work. Like, some of his stuff could come off really cheesy, but like I think the way that he leans into it, he is like the Joker to Peter, Peter's Batman. And it's amazing that he's able to be that for two separate iterations of Spider-Man. Like, I'm sorry, Tom Holland can't do Green Goblin now, like because now Willem Dafoe is his Green Goblin, like that.
Right.
That you can't replace him in this universe. Even I don't even try. You know, it's kind of, if anything, they just have to do the J.K. Simmons thing, where they just literally bring him back as a new version of the character.
And I think it adds more to this Green Goblin as a menace, as the main villain for Spider-Man, because later we see what he does.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. They make him literally like the Joker in Batman 1989 a little bit.
And that's when I was starting to take him more seriously as a threat, because in the first movie with Tobey Maguire, like, you still, I mean, as a kid, I used to like the Green Goblin, but the older I got, the more I saw a little bit of the corniness and the campiness of it, that there wasn't really much of a threat until you see him in this version where he is so conflicted. You see the pain that he's going through of being consumed by this double personality that has driven him insane. And I was just I was just in suspense, hoping when is the moment that he's gonna snap.
Right.
I knew he would be the one that snapped.
Oh yeah, they played it so well too. They were like that because you could feel the tension in the air when he eventually does, and and there were a couple things that Dr. Octopus would say to him even before he eventually snap. There were a couple things where he was like, he would say it to Norman, and I'd be like, ugh.
The second time I saw the movie, that's when I noticed when Doc Ock is telling him, like, "Are you ready to go home? Like, we made it," and that's when you look at him in the back. He's like, from there you can tell that's the Green Goblin again. He's like, no, he doesn't want to go back, but he's just still playing the Norman Osborn game. So that's when I realized, oh god, this is a good actor. Like, Willem Dafoe is a good actor, and plus he's been Nosferatu, and he's been in the Lighthouse movie. Like, he's done a lot of creepy acting before.
Oh yeah. And
sometimes I even call him William the Fuck.
The fuck? That's how he makes you feel.
Yeah. When he makes those faces, like, William the Fuck.
Yeah. And Clay, you've seen the Lighthouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Peyton, have you seen the Lighthouse?
No, I haven't gotten around to it yet.
So good. And anybody watching this that hasn't seen the Lighthouse, good.
It's such a those lines were so difficult to make in one shot. The one where he has those eyes popping out. That's what it sort of reminded me when he was back being like the crazy Green Goblin. I was thinking of like the Lighthouse.
Lots of Lighthouse energy in this movie for sure. So yeah, I'll play I have a second video that I'm going to play here in a second. But let's try and get up to the big scene where all the villains turn. So yeah, that basically, I think there was Norman Osborn goes back with all the villains, and they get put in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And then I think that's whenever we kind of have our fight with Strange, because then they start to all realize that they're going to be killed eventually. So we have this big mirror dimension fight with Strange. It was marketed a lot as being kind of the big money shot, obviously, because they couldn't tease a lot of the other stuff. And, it was on all the posters. I thought on the posters, it looked like shit. And in a lot of the trailers, it looked like I was going to vomit. But like, I think in the movie, the mirror dimension fight was really badass, and the way that Peter was able to defeat him was a little bit lame, a little bit cringe, but I thought it was kind of cool. So
geometry.
Yeah, exactly. And I do like the idea of, because this is what the MCU was originally based on, was taking magic and things and being able to like boil it down to a science, and that's kind of what I like. If anybody's going to be able to do that, it's Spider-Man. So yeah, and then this also kind of takes us to the Doctor Strange kind of being sidelined for most of the film, so that way the rest of the film can happen. What do you guys think of this big mirror dimension fight, and then Doctor Strange being sidelined? Peyton, Clay?
You can go. Oh, okay. I was not expecting them to be a fight. I thought they were in the trailers. I thought they would be, trapped or getting lost in this crazy multi-universe, and they would try to find a way out. So I wasn't expecting them to fight, and I thought it's a fight I wasn't expecting, or that I didn't know I wanted to see. So overall, it was a bunch of madness, which I enjoyed, and pretty much it was a way to, when you put it like that at the end of the day, Matt defeated Doctor Strange. Would you prefer love to defeat him? It's either Matt or love that conquers in the end. What do you prefer? What do you want? Yes. But before the fight with Doctor Strange, what I really liked was the struggle, or like the dilemma between the villains about death and what they can control. And this, what was more interesting was Spider-Man's emotional debate against Doctor Strange's logical debate.
Yeah.
So this multiverse fight that they had, it was a more of a philosophical debate of maybe we can change these people that don't belong in our universe versus Doctor Strange's logical dilemma that if we change them, they're gonna mess up their timelines and probably ours. And if he gives them the Rocky IV answer: if they die, they die. He gives them the Russian accent.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too. Yeah, I didn't think about that, how it was kind of parallel the moral dilemma they were having. The real fight was actually paralleling kind of the moral fight. And I previously thought about that too. If I was in that position, would I side with Doctor Strange, or would I side with Peter? And also Peter, knowing that they're villains, is he kind of naive, being like, I can fix him?
Yeah. But that's also because he spends time with them, he talks with them, and he looks at their humanity. Like the most emotional line from the Lizard is, "Do I die?" Like everybody dies, but we know the Lizard doesn't die, but he is the last one asking, "Hey, so what happens to me? Do I die?" And nobody answers them. And once Doctor Strange is ready to send them back home, they're all hitting their windows. They're scared. They're scared out of their lives, because they know they're gonna die.
That was a pretty scary scene too. Like, it made me feel for him,
like especially for William Dafoe. Peter.
Oh yeah. Peyton, Doctor Strange versus Spider-Man.
It was cool. I haven't watched Doctor Strange in a long time. So
I don't think I have since the theaters.
I forget how much of a spectacle it can be. Like all of those cool, like warping mirror dimension effects they can do, and seeing Spider-Man try to traverse his way through this whole, it's called the mirror dimension, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I've seen Doctor Strange, like you, I think once. And then I haven't watched it ever again.
I think it's really underrated.
It was good. I remember it was good, but I'm sorry, the character of Doctor Strange, it never appealed to me. But I like Benedict Cumberbatch. He's cool. But yeah, I dug it. It was just a spectacle to me.
Yeah, it was fun. Who would you side with in the moral dilemma if you had
I would trust the space wizard who seems to know more than me.
Yeah. That's fair, because it immediately blows up in his face in the next scene, doesn't it? Is that when they all go back to the thing and they work on the cure, and then immediately Aunt May dies? It's not to gloss over it, but that's kind of what happens.
The condensed version, and then the ones that he doesn't listen to Doctor Strange, and then Aunt May dies.
Basically, though, I mean, okay, so we'll get there. It was a big so that they all go back there. They have a fun montage. I didn't realize that they were kind of most of the way there on a lot of the villains' cures. I guess Norman's they almost completed before he escaped or whatever. Or some people said that Norman reverse engineered his to where actually it did the opposite effect, where whenever he took the serum, it made him more goblin or something. I don't know if that's true, if that's just the way somebody I talked to interpreted the film. But yeah, backfires in his face. We have the awesome scene where Willem Dafoe is crazy, and then all the villains break out. Sandman changes sides for no reason whatsoever, and then
he trusts nobody.
He just trusts nobody. And then we take a second to have an amazing fight. Probably the most brutal fight of the film is the one between Green Goblin and I was about to say Green Goblin and Marissa Tomei, but Green Goblin and Peter Parker. That they're trying to kill each other really hardcore.
Dude, they were having a pro wrestling match. Did you notice that spine buster he hit on Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And he even gave him a power bomb. Batista bomb.
Yeah, they were going through the floors and everything, and it made me wonder, okay, just how powerful is Spider-Man, and just how powerful is Norman, because he's still a 60-year-old dude.
They would have gone through the 9th level of hell. after that power bomb.
I mean, you were bringing. I was questioning Norman's strength. I was like, I had no idea this guy could do all this because,
Right.
I mean, let's be real. In the Raimi films, a lot of the fights they kind of feel like something you might see in like a Power Rangers movie or something.
Especially
It's
that
very
last
choreographed. Like, yeah, like we knew he was strong, but
Maybe because
I didn't know they could dial it up to 20
maybe
in
because
this film.
maybe because he was a kid, he was like smaller than Tobey Maguire, maybe a lighter weight.
That's you could just toss Tom Holland around way easier.
It's like Big Show going on with Rey Mysterio. Boom.
I thought it was a great fight. It was really good. There's a moment where he's like just trying to beat the shit out of Norman, and he's just smiling at him the whole time.
Yeah,
and again, that's whenever I was solidified. Like, that's why you take the mask off. That's why you take the mask off. It was perfect. I thought it was so good.
And there's a moment where you also realize that this is a kid fighting an adult. An adult when Tom Holland is the one who's on the floor like bleeding to death, and the Green Goblin is the one holding him with his head. That's like you realize, oh my god, this is a boy getting abused by this adult.
Mm-hmm. And then of course we have the big thing. The big thing happened. I thought it was beautiful. This might have been the first time I welled up. And when we come back from this video I'm about to play, I'll talk about crying a little bit more. But this might be the first time that I cried during the theater. You know, I'm not ashamed to admit I teared up a little bit during this movie because they have Aunt May die. It's a really sad scene, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is my." I don't know the exact dialogue, but he's like, "Oh my God, this is all my fault. I messed up." She's like, "No, it's okay. It's not your fault. Remember, Peter, with great power comes great responsibility." And I'm just like, "Damn." They went there and they did the thing, and then they do the more cliche thing where she looks down and she's bleeding, and then but whenever she like the dialogue when she's like, you know, she just says, "I'm just gonna rest sit down for a second." Like, it was really, as far as deaths go, it was a really good death. I thought, you know, and I'm sure that having her say the line can be a little bit divisive, and I haven't talked to either of you guys on it. My brother didn't like that they had her say the line. He's like, "That's Uncle Ben's line," and so I loved it though. I think that's how you subvert expectations in the right way. It was really meaningful. So yeah, Clay, what did you think of "With great power comes great responsibility" and Aunt May's death?
I mean, if I didn't cry in Endgame, I knew I wasn't gonna cry in this one.
Really?
But no, I didn't cry. I
felt bastard.
I felt bad. Like, I was surprised that she died.
Everyone's crying, and Clay's like, "That sucks."
Well, let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny.
But after that, also, yeah, it was a very emotional scene. Like, from that moment is when it got deeply emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I wasn't expecting Aunt May to be the one holding the Uncle Ben torch. And also, in this version of Spider-Man, it's pretty much clear there is no Uncle Ben.
Well, there was, I think originally, I think that he died off screen, but I just don't think he said the words.
But they never mention if he had an uncle.
In
There's Easter eggs in Homecoming and Far From Home.
In Far From Home, he has the suitcase that he takes with him to Europe says BP on it, so it's like supposed to be Uncle Ben's suitcase, but that's a very vague reference. So I could see how it's still debatable, I guess.
Yeah, because even then, like, let's say if the Uncle Ben in Tom Holland's version doesn't exist, then why did he become Spider-Man? Because that's pretty much the whole point, that he would become Spider-Man. But again, either you're right or this is just a different Spider-Man from another universe, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, like the Aunt May dead, like I said, I wasn't expecting it. And this is something you gotta learn when it comes to dead movie scenes. You never look at your wound.
Exactly. Never look at your wound. If you just go straight to the hospital, you'll be fine.
like Sam, what is that? Oh, nothing. I'm fine. Nothing. I see blood. You got shot. Oh no. No. I don't want to look. Oh, crap.
I know, right? Peyton, Aunt May is a big scene.
It was huge. My money was actually on all of that going to Happy. I thought Happy was going to be the one we lost in this film.
Yeah, we talked about it in our predictions video, and I agreed. I was like, yeah, it looks like Happy's going to be dead.
Yeah, I was pretty sure Happy was the one that was going to get killed off. But it's fun to know now that if you say the line with "great power comes great responsibility," you have to die.
You literally
After
have
that,
to.
this is now the rule. So in any universe, any multiverse, whatever, if anybody speaks those words, I don't make the rules. You have to die. So it's good to know this. We got it locked in. Who's next?
So,
MJ.
yeah, just don't say.
MJ.
It's like he who shall not be named. Except the phrase
With
that shall
great power
not be
comes.
said.
No. Shh. No.
So we get it. You don't have to say it. Just
You know what? You know, the Uncle Ben from Amazing Spider-Man worded it much better.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
If
I wanted to be that guy when they say my uncle said the same thing. I'm like, I want to be like, technically yours didn't, but
yes, he said. I think he said, if you can do good for others, you have the moral obligation to do it.
Yeah.
That's
It
what's
was
the
so
thing.
dumb.
You have
Not
the moral
choice,
obligation to do those things.
not choice, responsibility.
Oh,
There,
it's so
I'm not gonna
dumb.
die. I said it.
He
but
thought
I
he was
didn't
safe.
say
Little did he know.
No.
Yeah, big scene. So I think that's kind of brings us to right up until the big thing happens, because now our friends are all separated. Peter's at his lowest point, and then the big thing happens. So before we get into that, I was kind of thinking about what the next movie could be called, and this is our winter finale here on the Film Fan Club show. So in case Spider-Man 4 gets announced while we're going to be on hiatus, I wanted to kind of bring a couple of options to the table, so just in case I didn't want them to reveal it and have me be wrong, or so preemptively, I'm going to predict some of the titles for Spider-Man 4, whatever it may be. So if you'll bear with me for a moment, I'm going to add this.
Many of you noticed.
Thank you so much, Sam. If you bear with me for just 1 second, I'm going to predict those. So I'll see you guys on the other side of this video.
First up, I'm sure many of you noticed that it was wintertime when Spider-Man No Way Home ended, so if the next movie picks up right where this one left off, it would make sense if they called it Spider-Man Home for the Holidays. They could even take it a step further and reference a Christmas classic, call it Spider-Man Home Alone. I don't know if you guys have been following the economy lately, but I mean, given how it's going, the next one could be called Spider-Man Homeless. There were a couple hints in the previous movies as to what the next one could be called. For instance, I'm betting on Spider-Man No Homo. It's possible that they could do kind of a midquel, during the events of No Way Home. For instance, it could pick up, right after Aunt May dies, call it Spider-Man Funeral Home. Maybe Spider-Man has to get like a second job or something. Maybe working at the Daily Bugle isn't cutting it for him anymore, so he has to get a second one, call it Spider-Man Home Depot. I've always thought the concept of an older Spider-Man would be kind of cool, so if they went that route with it, maybe they could call the next movie Spider-Man Retirement Home. There are a lot of rumors, for instance, maybe they'll introduce Gwen Stacy in the next movie, so call that one Spider-Man Home Wrecker. It is possible, if they continue the partnership with Disney, they lean on some of the previous material for that, call it Spider-Man Homeward Bound. Marvel has done time travel before, though, so maybe they pull a Back to the Future Part 3 on us, call it Spider-Man Home on the Range. There are a lot of options, so regardless of what they end up picking, we'll keep you updated here at the Film Fan Club show.
All right, that's just a couple of options. Of course, Sony, Marvel, you can write me or any of the various friends that I asked for ideas. We will send you our invoice information. So yeah, that and Aunt May is dead, so I figured that'd be a good time since I had the funeral home joke in there to throw that in. So yes, with
Perfect,
the greatest segue in the world I could ever do. Now Zendaya and Ned, I don't know why they were separated from him or why Peter didn't go immediately to be with his friends afterwards, but they're looking to find him, and they do the thing. They say, "Show me Peter Parker." Ned's able to discover that he has powers through Doctor Strange's rings. Did he just steal the rings because he just for fun, or did he not know that they were?
No, Spider-Man took it.
Spider-Man zipped him off, remember?
But he know the ring was, he knew the ring was powerful ahead of time?
But he didn't know how to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just took it so Doctor Strange couldn't use it.
Yeah. Right. He just gave it to Ned and said,
when they were fighting.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I remember, but I was like, why did he take it? Just for fun? But he did it to stop Doctor Strange from doing the thing. I saw the movie, but Ned is able to use it, and it was a really good reveal. I was surprised by who they went with first, but they opened up a portal. They show me Peter Parker. We see Spider-Man off in the distance. He sees the portal. They gesture him over. He runs through. As he gets closer to us, we realize that it's not our Spider-Man. He's wearing a different suit, so he hops in, takes off the mask. Who is it? Andrew Garfield. Whole theater erupts. Gotta clap for Andrew Garfield. I thought it was amazing. What did you guys, Clay, what did you think of? How did your theater react to Andrew Garfield?
Oh, they went loud, and so did I.
Yeah.
They went loud. But
it was exciting.
And I was sitting on the top, on the very top. So I was watching everyone's reactions, and when I saw the portal opening, I thought it was Tom Holland. But then I heard the people like getting up of their seats saying, "Oh, it's him! It's him!" And then that's when I got pumped up. And you know what? I think Andrew Garfield had a better entry than Tobey Maguire.
100%.
Because they made such a big build-up with Andrew Garfield and the reveal, and it was such a payoff. While as with Tobey Maguire, they just opened the portal and I'm here.
Well, it was almost like they know, like everybody's been waiting. You don't have to hype up Tobey Maguire. You can kind of just be like, have him just kind of be like, I've arrived, and everyone's gonna freak out. Which that was what was next. They opened up the portal, and then Tobey Maguire came through. Peyton, what did you think of both Spider-Man's reveals?
It was crazy. My theater booed.
What?
It was great. No, I'm kidding. They were furious. I was really like, don't get me wrong. Seeing Tobey Maguire come out on screen, like I lost my shit. It was awesome. But yeah, I don't know who was in control of, all right, we're going to do this big build up for Andrew Garfield. He's going to come out. Everybody's going to cheer. Tobey, just step through for us.
Yeah.
That'll be good. He should have been delivering pizzas. I don't know.
Pizza time.
Guys, I'm going to be late.
It's like, what? I
funny.
wanted all of the memes to come through, and it gave me a lot. It's like they went through Raimi memes for some of it, and they're like, all right, we'll make that joke in the film. We'll make that joke in the film. I was shocked.
The only thing I'm a bit disappointed is we didn't get to see the emo dance. We didn't get to see the.
We did.
I would have liked to see. That would have been a great.
Hoping all three of them.
Yes, yeah. And it's funny because in 2007 that emo dance, it was cringy to me. Yeah. I hated it, but now looking back at it, if they would have done it at least this one time with the three of them, I flipped with them. I would dance as well with them.
Behind the scenes, maybe. We can only hope.
An end credit scene, but nope, it didn't happen.
I thought the introductions. I thought the introductions for Andrew Garfield particularly was really good, but I thought it was serviceable for both. It did seem like a little uninspired for Tobey Maguire. Like they definitely realized they only had one really big, alternate Spider-Man reveal, and it was a choice to go with Andrew Garfield. But I think they realized that he was the one that needed the pick-me-up the most, because Amazing Spider-Man 2 left us on a pretty sour taste. But
I never thought about that way.
Yeah, but it was really good though, because this movie recognized that Andrew Garfield wasn't the bad part of those movies.
But so did Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. It ended in a sour taste as well.
But that's still, I think it has more defenders than Amazing Spider-Man 2. But you're right.
But and that maybe because we now have so many of these good superhero movies that we actually forgive the Tobey Maguire one. You can be whatever you want because we got like the more serious Dark Knight movies. But
I was going to take the cynical route. I was going to say there's been so many bad movies since 2007 that we see Spider-Man 3 and we're like, actually, that's pretty good. Because there's some like you look at X-Men Apocalypse, so the first Suicide Squad. I'll watch Spider-Man 3 over either of those movies any day. But yeah, I love Tobey Maguire in this movie. I like that they were able to go and give that like pick me up to Tom Holland. I thought that was a really nice touch, and they and it was able to use the personal experience, because you could tell the producer, whoever wrote this, really watched and paid attention to the other 5 movies or whatever, and they were able to kind of use have the tragedy of Gwen and how Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man responded to that, inform how he would kind of help Tom Holland, as they did kind of with Peter Parker, played by Tobey Maguire, and have him help Tom Holland because of the way he handled Uncle Ben's death. I thought that was really nice. They didn't touch on the Flint Marko aspect of Uncle Ben's death, because he did he was one of the guys that killed Uncle Ben in Spider-Man 3, but we'll just brush that aside. But
Yeah.
I thought that was a really nice scene to kind of bring up our Spider-Man. Did you guys like that? The kind of the uplifting or whatever. I mean, what are you gonna do? Hate it?
Yeah, no. Yes. I wanted to see 4 of Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Some people were saying there could have been Miles Morales or something from the animated, and I was a little bit on the. I was like, if you're gonna do a Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing, I don't know if I'm on board with that.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not interested in that yet.
But yeah, and then we get to of course, as we get past the pick me up scene, we get them kind of getting into action, and we get the Science Bros. There was a really funny joke in the theater whenever Zendaya is looking at the 3. I don't know if it's a joke even. It's just like she's looking at the 3 Peters, and he's like, "What?" She's like, "I don't know. There's just 3 of you." And then I don't know. Everybody thought of a certain meme. No, I was going to go for a Pornhub meme, but that's yeah, exactly. But it was funny, and then I liked the stuff where he gets to flex on his organic web shooters. It was just nice. There's a lot of jokes.
Out of you. Yeah, like it was like that's what I was hoping to see. Like I would have hated to see the 2 of them as a cameo, just to be there for one scene and that's it. Like I wanted to see them talk to each other, play off of their differences and even talk about their tragic issues and pasts. And Andrew Garfield was more like the older brother, and Tobey Maguire was more like of the cool pastor. Like he was like a mentor pretty much, since he's kind of like the older one, he's the veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And since he was much calmer in this one, like he could have been like the next Yoda. Get over Aunt May. You must.
There were a couple ways they could have gone with Tobey Maguire in this movie. They could have gone Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi and have him be like, "Man, I'm past being Spider-Man. I'm reluctant to be Spider-Man again," and I'm glad they didn't. But it was good. Did you like the Science Bros, Peyton?
Loved it. I loved it so much. They play so well off of each other. It's so fun to see that all 3 actors, you throw them in a room. Because, I mean, no matter what, like, if they went in with this mindset, they're like, okay, we got to have Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. And that has to happen with the way they were wanting to do the movie. So who knows if they all had chemistry with each other and could work off of each other and everything. And oh my gosh, they mesh so well together.
I was thinking about that too. Yeah, like they cast Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, never thinking they'd be on screen together. But those 2 particularly, I think, really were great together in this movie.
It left me hungry for more. I don't know. It probably won't. We probably won't ever get a situation where all 3 of them are on screen again. But it left me hungry for more. It's how kind of I felt at the end of like Zack Snyder's Justice League. I was like, oh, they've discontinued this whole like world, and it's leaving me hungry for more, and I'm not gonna get it.
Way. Yeah, it's like, I want this to be continued, but yeah, this is like a swan song for Andrew Garfield, but that's why I was glad they were able to tie up the loose ends. I mean, let's get on to tying up loose ends. They go into the big battle, and I guess the big takeaway that I want to take away from the big battle, obviously everything we want to happen happens. They fight, we get our iconic money shot, but there was particularly some things where Tobey Maguire is able to lift up Andrew Garfield and say, no, you're amazing, and I thought it was played for jokes, but it was also kind of like the more successful Spider-Man saying to the less successful one, like, no, you are rightfully part of this mythology or whatever. And then of course the big payoff, the biggest character development payoff, I think, in all time. The thing that probably makes this movie for me, like, obviously they could have not done it and it would have been really good, but like my absolute favorite thing in the world that they did in this movie is have Andrew Garfield save Mary Jane. It was so fucking good. Like, they could have just had him give him the pep talk about Aunt May and reference Gwen Stacy, and I'd be like, okay, you referenced it. That's character development. It's nice that you acknowledge it. But they went there. They fully fucking went there, and they teased us.
That's
too.
when I cried.
I knew they were.
That's when I cried.
You knew they were going to go there? I was afraid they were. I was like, don't toy with me like that. I was like, maybe they won't. And then I was so glad they did. Oh my God.
And again, it was another way for the Tobey Maguire and especially Andrew Garfield to redeem themselves on this one, and like it was a good payoff actually. And
It was beautiful.
And in my theater, that's where again everybody erupted
Yeah.
over this
yeah.
one. And I was with my sister, and she was crying over that. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah.
I was tearing up too. It was really good. Tearing up is great. I have another story in a second about crying again. Also, thank you for reminding me. But yeah, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was so good. I thought they could have overplayed it by having been like, oh, phew, thank God, this is exactly how Gwen died. You know, there was like over explaining it, but it was just enough where you could tell like they held on a shot of Andrew Garfield long enough where you could tell this is really like big for him. And I kind of liked the added context of MJ just being like, yeah, I'm good. Are you good? You know, and he's like,
I'm better.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so nice. And then, of course, they saved the day, and having Dr. Octopus meet with Tobey Maguire again and say, my boy, you're all grown up, which doesn't make sense because I think
they were fighting each other.
Well, and not Dr. I can't remember where Dr. Octopus was at the end battle anyway. But Tobey Maguire's older, but Dr. Octopus is supposed to be the same age as when he was fighting him, so it doesn't make sense to me. But whatever, I'll move past it because it's nice to see him all grown up. And he says, "How are you?" And he says, "Trying to do better." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a reference to the movie." I like that shit. So there's a lot to. I think you guys both already talked about the Mary Jane thing, right? The saving Mary Jane. I didn't want to skip over your opinions on that because that's like a really big thing. And then obviously
I hated it. I thought it was horrible.
I feel like there was a lot about that big battle, though. I mean, I kind of like you would expect that they save the day. You know, they save we'll get to how they saved the day in the second. You know, with the spell and everything. But anything else about the battle, the money shot, the three Spider-Men, the jokes. I liked the crack in the back joke. I thought that was some fun downtime. But anything that you guys can think of about the final battle that I'm forgetting to bring up at this point?
I mean, it was pretty much Jamie Foxx. It was pretty much focused on Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Since he was the only actor there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was him against a green screen and everybody else. Yeah. Willem Dafoe comes in at the end.
But regardless, it was still fun to see like the Spider-Mans like interacting with their supervillains. Like, hey Max, I missed you.
That was great. Yeah, that was.
I would have hoped to seen Tobey Maguire interact more with the Sandman. Hey, remember when you killed my father?
Green Goblin. Yeah.
Oh exactly. yes.
Because they're just standing right next to each other, and he stabs him. Green Goblin stabs Tobey Maguire, and then I thought they were going to kill him. I so thought they were going to kill him.
Sam, did you notice? Did you notice that there were times where the villains would just stand in the back, just doing nothing, like Doc Ock and the Green Goblin, like
they felt very video game-ish at some point.
Like once they defeated them, they'll just stand there and the heroes will be talking
one at a time.
And he'll be like,
Yeah, they literally did that with Lizard, where they put him away until they needed him again. Right? Because I think Andrew Garfield
threw him in a truck.
Yeah. Well, they did it twice. Yeah, they put him in the truck, and then Andrew Garfield webs him up.
Because he's a walking lizard. He's a walking dinosaur. How are you gonna bring that up in the building?
Throw a lab coat on him.
I kind of wish they would have given him the classic thing. Whatever.
I wish they would have given him the lab coat.
And the big thing is the ending. We kind of talked about all the great stuff. The ending is how they solved it. Doctor Strange it's kind of silly now that I'm thinking about it. I really have a problem with how they put Doctor Strange away and then just bring him back when they need him again. Then he solves the movie. Is that a flaw?
I mean, if you want to bring these older actors, what's the only way you can bring them? Multi-universe.
Again, you have to make the movie happen. But but he literally just is able to immediately solve the problem when he comes into the picture again.
Just say,
be fair, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just gonna say, just say, I wish you were close.
That's all he's gonna do.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, Doctor Strange near the. I mean, I don't know. Here's one issue I have in resolution to your issue. He doesn't want to do the memory wipe thing anymore. Like, that's not his idea anymore. Now, why he has that 180 and he doesn't want to do it anymore, I don't know. But just to be fair to Doctor Strange coming and fixing the whole problem, he doesn't want to fix it that way anymore. That's all on Tom Holland's.
He makes the sacrifice, which I thought was really nice.
He makes the sacrifice to do that. But yeah, we do need him to do the magic stuff. And suddenly Doctor Strange is like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. It's like, that was your whole deal, my guy. You wanted to resolve this shit. And now you're suddenly like, oh, but that's not good for you. It's like, you haven't given a shit this whole film, and now you just do?
Because after 12
He's been
hours
really
of,
thinking in the Grand Canyon.
after after 12 hours of being trapped in the Grand Canyon, I realized I actually care
Yeah.
about this boy.
Yeah.
I care about you. Even you trapped me in the Grand Canyon. Yeah, I mean, he was pretty much there just to bring all of these characters up. But really, if you think about it, he really doesn't belong there. Only to just to bring them. That's it. I mean, we didn't come here to see Doctor Strange. With all due respect to Benedict
Yeah.
Cumberbatch,
Yeah.
like I still like Doctor Strange. I think he's a very interesting, like more like a philosophical.
Yeah. But in this movie,
Character-
he's like a tool, basically.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and then so then that's a pretty big thing they do though, is by they remove his whole life from existence. I mean, he still like is a person who exists somehow, but like they take away Happy. He doesn't know him anymore. Does that mean he doesn't know any of the Avengers anymore?
I guess not.
No, he's literally not a member of the Avengers anymore.
What I was wondering is, I was like, do they remember Spider-Man exists, but they don't
Well, Happy-
know Peter Parker
Oh,
is
because
Spider-Man?
Happy does.
Happy
No.
knows Spider-Man exists,
But he doesn't remember
but
working
he
with
doesn't
him?
know Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
But
They-
does
So
Happy
him just
remember
walking up-
working with Spider-Man?
They don't know who
I
Peter
think
Parker
so.
is. They don't know who
They don't
Peter
know who
Parker
Peter
is.
Parker is. They remember working with Spider-Man, but they don't know Peter Parker.
So can Peter
is
Parker
Spider-Man.
just go work with them again as Spider-Man and then take off the mask?
Yes. No,
Okay.
I think
In the
that's literally
Avengers
what
movie.
we're saying.
Okay,
I'm
gotcha. Okay, so it's a little bit. You can't do that with MJ. It's a little bit harder.
But you know,
Right.
why would he make his own costume? It would be because either he can't afford the Tony
Stark
Stark
thing.
technology, because either Happy doesn't know him anymore, and so he has to start from scratch.
which I love. I don't. It's kind of one of those things. So in this movie, they solve two big issues that I had with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He's kind of a spoiled rich kid because through Tony Stark, he becomes a spoiled rich kid and gets all the fancy shit and doesn't have to do anything on his own. And then he hasn't really suffered a great deal of loss like the other ones have. They solve that immediately because they give him all sorts of loss in this movie, and then they have him he literally lives on his own, and he's like trying to make ends meet. He's probably gonna have to find a job at the local paper in the next movie, and then
Rent?
and then rent, and find a way to pay rent.
I was hoping to see that guy again. Rent.
Oh, it
Dude,
would've
me
been
too.
The one
They had a guy,
special
he was like,
cameo.
rent is due at the first of the month. I was like, you could
Like, in
not
that
get
scene.
that
You could've-
actor to come and say that.
Damn it! Yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
Yeah, so many missed opportunities. The dance, the rant.
Yes. So, but I love the ending. I love where you get where the possibilities that we have for that. Like he could start going to college in the next movie. He could meet Gwen Stacy in the next movie. He could go start working for the Daily Bugle in the next movie. Like we can have Tom Holland be the comic, because I like where the MCU is, what he's done with Spider-Man so far in terms of being an Avengers Spider-Man, but he's never felt like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and that is like clearly what they're saying they're going to do with the next movie, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I mean, something I didn't say in the Aunt May Dead is the moment that she died. That's when he became Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is all about tragedy. It's all about him losing someone, and that is the moment where he actually. Because I thought it would be Tony Stark's dead, where he would be like, oh,
Oh no, Sam Carrico.
oh, he got blipped, or
Thanos is back.
oh no, Sammy, go ahead.
He'll probably
Okay.
be able to rejoin.
All right, I'll continue. So I was talking about how Spider-Man became Spider-Man after the tragedy, and that's what he needed. But yeah, what I was saying is that I thought Tony Stark's death would be that tragedy that would pull him to be the Spider-Man, but I guess not. Because I guess with Aunt May's death adds more to his inner story, because this Spider-Man felt more like a Avenger Spider-Man, not the epic Spider-Man doing his own stories, you know?
Right.
So what do you thought about the ending as well?
Oh my gosh, it was so good. I love just one of my favorite things about like iterations of Spider-Man is, and sadly I haven't gotten it with Tom Holland, is I like the suits that I can believe, like, oh, this kid made this suit or something
Mhm.
like that. Like, sadly with Tobey Maguire, I look at that suit and I go, no way in hell did you make this suit? You did not. And that's the Amazing Spider-Man, the first one. I actually buy like, oh, you made this. This is your suit, because it kind of looked cheaply thrown together. And we couldn't get a very good look at it. Like, we have some low quality screenshots on the internet trying to get a good look at this new suit
Yeah,
that
they kept
Tom
it in the
Holland's
dark,
wearing.
though, for the most
And
part.
some of
Yeah.
those pictures show like a tribute to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Right.
Oh, really? Like in the design?
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
incorporated like all of their designs like kind of into one.
Oh, that's
and I want to get a
sweet.
good. I know, because
Yes.
like he knows them and he's like, I gotta. And so that would be great. I want a clear look at it, but it, to my knowledge, it looks like, okay, I can buy a hair that you made this
Yeah,
at
yeah.
your sewing machine.
And also, and what it
Sure.
and what it adds as well is that how he lost everything. Not only the people that he knew, but the technology, the weapons that he would carry on his suit.
Yeah.
Now it's just a cloth that he's wearing to fight. Like it's no bulletproof. It's no nanobots. It's no going through air to
Arms.
space. It's just him, his tingly feelings and responsibility, having the moral sense of doing what's good. That's what not only Aunt May's dead made him as Spider-Man. Like it's everything that he lost. That's what made him as Spider-Man.
Exactly. Oh, so good. It was such a great ending to a great film. I thought it was amazing. The only thing, though, by this point, I've cried a couple times. I've welled up. But this, I don't know how your guys' movie theater experience was, but in my theater, I first of all, I'm a fan, okay? I clapped at all the right times, I cheered at all the right times, and I cried at all the right times. There was a nice lady behind me who was crying, like let's say wailing at the screen.
Oh,
like
goodness.
like full on like sobbing, and like it was like, okay, so something with like the Aunt May thing happened. She's like crying. I'm like, me too, I got you. But she would kept, and it kept going. So I go like, like that, and then something else happens. And then, and then at the end of the movie, the spell happens, and then she's like, that's really sad. She starts crying some more. She's like sobbing even louder. So I'm like, okay, at this point it's been going on for like 20 minutes. And so I look at, I do a little, another look back again, a little quick one. And then, so at this point I'm like, all right, whatever. She's just being a clown. That's fine. I'm not gonna, and then the scene in the diner with Tom Holland, which was a sweet scene. I thought again, I'm a fan. I like this. I'm here to enjoy, like, and then the scene with Zendaya happens and he doesn't give her the letter. And whenever he on a dime, the very moment he doesn't take he chooses not to give her the letter, she just starts, and me and my brother, we can't control it at this point. We just burst out laughing, and I feel like a dick. I feel like a bad person because I'm like laughing at this lady who is like clearly like having an experience at this Marvel movie. Guys, am I an asshole? No,
you're just laughing that it worked, that somebody could actually buy into it. Like, yeah, guys, we did it. That's art.
Like, yeah, especially you, Clay, who didn't cry at all. I at least cried a little bit. Like, come on. Peyton,
no,
am I an asshole?
No. It's just that for me to cry in movies, is hard for me. Is if like I didn't cry with Notebook, I didn't cry with Titanic, I didn't cry with The Lion King.
You're so heartless.
Thank you.
He says I revel in it. Oh my gosh, guys! You go ahead.
And I was hoping I was gonna cry with Endgame, but then I realized, nope. I was sad. That's when it
solidified it for you. You're like, this is just never gonna happen.
No, I just cried in the Passion of the Christ.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But we've reached the end of the movie. That was it. It was an epic experience. Clay, let's start with you. But we already gave opening thoughts. But now that we've kind of gone through the whole thing and had a second to reflect, are there any closing thoughts that you've had on the film now that you can talk about spoilers more?
It just shows that right now with the pandemic, now that where they're asking if movies, our theaters are still gonna be alive during pandemic era, and the answer is probably yes. The only issue is this Spider-Man movie shows that people are willing to go to the theater to have a fun moment, have the experience, the story. They don't need to stay in their couches and their rooms all night. The problem is they have to make them bigger. It can't be just such a small thing. Like it has to be something like Endgame proportion or this Spider-Man. It has to be huge.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of wondering how is the new Flash movie gonna make, because they're gonna bring Michael Keaton as Batman. Like, is it gonna be,
this level?
that level or
Ooh.
minor, or is it not gonna be, or it's not gonna be as good? That's what I'm wondering.
Third biggest box office opening ever, best of the pandemic era. Like that's a big, like tall order. And yeah, you're right. The Flash is trying to do the same thing essentially with bringing back Michael Keaton and doing a multiverse kind of thing. Oh, that's a lot. They've set the bar. So it's safe to say that you would recommend the movie.
Oh yes.
Peyton, No Way Home, good or bad?
It's good, and I have 3 closing thoughts about it. The first one is we didn't really talk about it. That I feel like Venom was just kind of a weird practical joke, I guess, for the
I
film
hate
or
this
something.
Venom.
Hated it.
Like I feel a little like Ralph Bonard from the whole thing. Like at the end of Let There Be Carnage, we bring him into this universe just to take him out. Again, and it's like, okay, like yes, he
but they
leaves
left
the
a little
symbiote.
bit,
Cool.
Well, that means they might do the
Can't
symbiote
wait.
in the next movie.
Can't wait.
I mean,
but I just feel a little.
I mean, I don't know if I want to see that version of Venom with Tom Hardy, because he's such a joke. He's such a jokester.
Like he's not a villain. Like whenever they teased him fighting Tom Holland at the end of Venom, I was like, why? Why would he fight him? They're both like just like clowns.
Just one question. Did the end credit scene from Venom Carnage rub you the wrong way? Because it did with me.
I just didn't see any reason for them to fight. Like he looks at the screen like he's like, oh, I can't wait to meet him. I'm just like, you have no reason to fight him.
Oh, I was just thinking, oh, this is like a pedophile alien, because
Jesus.
That's the only reason.
I didn't take it that way, but yeah, you're right.
That's how I took it. Because what older person is gonna look at some kid in the screen and say he looks delicious and look at the screen on his face?
No, you're right. Yeah, imagine not knowing the context of like the Spider-Man black suit thing and just being like, oh, that symbiote is a creep.
That symbiote has a fetish for kids.
Peyton, what were the other 2 points?
Yes, just the second thing. I cannot wait to see what direction this film goes. I mean, the series goes. Now that he's in college, he's living on his own. He is a young, independent boy. But then, lastly, I am excited to go see it again. I think at some point next week I am going to go see it again, because I am wondering with a lot of the things. Yeah, with a lot of the things I did like about the movie, how much of it is hype. And I think the second time I go in, I am going to probably be a little more critical about a few things. So like right now, like it is a solid like 10 out of 10 movie for me. Like I had a blast, and I'm curious to see when I go back if it's going to be dialed down a couple of notches.
I think for me, it's gonna dial down the comedy. I'm sure I'm not gonna like the comedy as much anymore, but I'm still gonna enjoy the villains talking. I'm still gonna enjoy the Spider-Mans getting together and the big sacrifice of Tom Holland. That's what I'm gonna enjoy. But I don't know, how are they gonna go after this? What are they gonna do with the fourth Spider-Man movie? Is it gonna be bigger or something like the second one?
I hope they go a little bit smaller. Yeah, personally, I'd love to see a Kraven the Hunter, just somebody trying to take down Spider-Man or Scorpion or Shocker.
Yeah, where's Scorpion?
Yeah, he's been introduced, right, in the previous movies.
Yeah,
in jail.
Yeah, he could be in jail. I guess Vulture is going to be in Morbius, so the multiverse madness does not end. And then, of course, briefly, did you guys see the Doctor Strange teaser? Are you guys excited for Doctor Strange?
Yeah. Because it pretty much progresses the multi-universe story that's going to lead to the big villain, and plus, I'm kind of a fan of Scarlet Witch. Like, I love Scarlet Witch.
I liked WandaVision. That's probably been my favorite show of this year so far, or favorite MCU show of this year. It's been my favorite, so I want to see the next one.
I would say it's my second. Probably Loki is my favorite.
I hate Loki so much. We'll talk about that later. I hated Loki so much. Oh my gosh! But yeah, I love this movie though. So yeah, my final. Peyton, we get all your thoughts and everything?
Yes.
Excellent. So yeah, I've been trying to. You talked about the critical eye. I've been trying to do that. There are a lot of problems I have with how this movie, the structure of it functions, and how the characters do make really dumb choices. A lot of the Tom Holland stuff I'm able to kind of reconcile with it being part of his arc. And like I said in the opening monologue, I think that Tom Holland really is able to just come into his own. And throughout the course of this movie, with a little help from his friends, he's able to come into the court and come into his own and just really make the role his own. So he's talked about whether or not he's going to still do this. I think they could go either way. You know, either if they end it now, this is a great end to this trilogy. You could end it now if you want to, but you could do another trilogy. You've kind of done a perfect origin story almost. So I really love this movie, but it's not, it's not Spider-Man 2. It's not Spider-Man 1. It may be the third best Spider-Man movie ever, though. I think it may be. Do you guys think that's an ambitious thing to say? I don't know.
I mean, it's my favorite of all so far.
It's my favorite right now.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, like
I'm trying not to be too, fanboyish, but
it's the best. It is the best Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland movie they've done as Spider-Man. I mean, it is their redemptive.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It is their redemption.
It does help. But the reason that it's good though is because the Tobey Maguire ones were so good. This is the way I'm trying to look at it. But also the Amazing Spider-Man ones were not good, and I haven't been impressed with Tom Holland to this point. So
I like the first one.
Yeah, well, this is the best, in my opinion, Amazing Spider-Man, or like the best Andrew Garfield, the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. I still think Spider-Man 2 is way up there.
But let's give Andrew Garfield some credit because they give him such a bad rap for no reason. Like, he is not a bad Spider-Man. Like, he has so much of the cocky side, the comical side.
Oh, he's great in the role.
Him. Yeah.
He just needed a good story, which he got here. But yeah, I would highly recommend this movie. Obviously, if you watched this video and joined us along the way, it's because you watched it as well. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it as much as we did. It's so nice I'm a cynical person. I just mentioned I hated Loki. I did not like Shang-Chi. Star Wars sucks now. So it's just like, it's so nice. That's what the closing monologue will be. So in a second, we'll talk about how this does what Star Wars failed at. But like, this has just been such a joy to just go in, and I was looking for things too, man. I was like, all right, and I found a couple, like logistical things, but oh my gosh, it was so nice to enjoy a movie for once. So with that out of the way, thank you guys so much for joining. Was there anything else that you want to say before I close out here?
No.
Excellent. Thank you guys. Clay Fisher, classic modern film. I have the link to your channel in the description of this video. Peyton Grufik, you're always doing stuff. Of course, Instagram, Peyton Grufik on Instagram. You can find out any of his latest projects. Still, there's a short film out there that I haven't seen, so I'm looking forward to checking out at some point. But until next time, guys, I hope you'll enjoy this closing monologue where we talk about how, as I pull it up in the most gracious way, how I talk about how this film did what Star Wars failed at. It's going to come up and start talking.
Now that we've got...
There it is. All right. Thank you guys so much, and I'll let previous Sam close out the show.
That Spider-Man spoiler warning out of the way, can we stop pretending that fan service is always a bad thing? Fan service is something added to a story by writers that's intended to please the audience. It was originally used to describe sexual content being put in anime or manga in Japan, but has taken on a whole new meaning with American blockbuster movies. Star Wars The Force Awakens is a good example of modern fan service gone awry. If you've seen it, you know the state of the galaxy has been largely reset to that of the original trilogy, with the First Order acting as the Empire and the Resistance acting as the Rebels. There's a new Death Star, and Han Solo says Chewie we're home in the Millennium Falcon. This is all intentionally included to make the audience cheer and go, I recognize that! But this fan service is contrary to what makes sense for that story. Why is there a powerful Empire stand-in when the Empire was defeated in the last movie? Why do we need a new Resistance? Star Wars The Last Jedi learned all the wrong lessons from The Force Awakens and tried to subvert our expectations. You want to see Luke Skywalker train our new protagonist? Too bad, he refuses, hiding away from his responsibilities as The Last Jedi. Expect some payoff with Snoke? Curious if your theory is correct? Well, he's dead, no explanation. Imagine if No Way Home had done this. Zendaya and Ned find Tobey Maguire. They ask him to help, but he tells them that being Spider-Man ruined his life and he'll never don the suit again. So Tom Holland goes to face the Green Goblin alone. Then Green Goblin is immediately killed by like the lizard or something just because he got hungry. Now that would subvert our expectations. Wouldn't really be worth the hype though. So if you've seen the movie, again spoiler alert, you may think that it's gone too far with fan service, but I'd argue that most of it makes sense for the story. Is it fan service to have Norman tell Peter he's something of a scientist himself? Definitely, but he was trying to do anything to get out of his cell. Is it fan service to have Aunt May repeat Uncle Ben's iconic phrase to Peter number 1? Yes, but it's something that he truly needed to hear in that moment, and it leads to a payoff with Peters 2 and 3. Is it fan service to have Andrew Garfield save MJ when Tom Holland can't? Obviously, but it completes an arc, serving as a natural progression for his character. Spider-Man No Way Home does what other movies only pretend to, and that's listen to its fans. And when the fans are the ones paying the bills, sometimes doing what they want isn't really a bad thing. Okay, that's our show. I'd like to send a special thank you to Clay Fisher and Peyton Grufik for joining me this week. Thanks also to John Lein for additional writing on these monologues, and to you, our viewers. Thank you so much for checking this video out, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.